This is the Washington Times front page for Tuesday, September 12th, 2023. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un arrived in Russia by armored train as the Kremlin confirmed that he'll meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin on a potential aid for arms deal that could boost Russia's flagging invasion of Ukraine. Andrew Salmon reports the trip is Kim's first out of his country since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic more than 3 years ago. Biden administration officials have been eyeing the rumored summit with concern. Russia has been put on the defensive in its 18-month-old invasion of Ukraine and is widely thought to want to purchase or trade arms with North Korea to replenish its depleted armory. The legal marijuana industry is experiencing growing pains from coast to coast as legislation in nearly 24 states fuels rapid expansion. Tom Howe reports western states such as California and Oregon are overflowing with cannabis, a supply gut that is driving down prices and sparking pleas for federal permission to sell marijuana across state lines. Users in New Jersey are facing the inverse. Consumers are confronting high prices, and trade groups accuse the state of slow-walking licenses that could increase the number of cannabis operators supplying the legal market. Industry representatives point to general economic stressors, including inflation and soaring interest rates. Venture capital funding is down, and demand for marijuana has eased since pandemic restrictions were lifted. A California bill would require judges hearing custody disputes to consider whether parents affirm their child's gender identity. Alex Sawyer reports the Democratic-led California General Assembly and Senate last week passed Assembly Bill 957, known as the Transgender, Gender Diverse, and Intersex Youth Empowerment Act. Governor Gavin Newsom is expected to sign the bill into law by its October 14th deadline. Under the legislation, a judge presiding over a custody case would have to consider gender affirmation in evaluating the best interest of the child, the legal standard in determining who should have guardianship of a child. Legal experts say the bill could disadvantage parents with religious or other objections on treating children with gender identity crises. Hurricane Lee is making its way up the eastern seaboard, though staying well offshore for now. Susan Ferricchio reports the current Category 3 storm is forecast to miss a direct strike at the U.S. coast, but a westward wobble would put the storm on a path where thousands of wind turbines are slated for development. Strong winds and rough surf from Lee are likely to impact Cape Cod and coastal Massachusetts, where an offshore wind project is under construction 15 miles off the coast of Martha's Vineyard, as well as along Block Island off the coast of Rhode Island. And finally, the fight to remove former President Trump from the 2024 ballot could make it to the Supreme Court, according to court watchers, who say it's not clear how the justices would rule if they got involved in the political fray. Alex Sawyer reports several lawsuits filed across the country claim Trump should be disqualified from the ballot. This type of case would warrant a look from the Supreme Court, especially if Trump's opponents successfully remove him from the ballot under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. The post-Civil War clause essentially says that anyone who leads an insurrection or rebellion against the U.S. government is disqualified from holding public office. Find all today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Washington Times in any major podcast app. You can also find us on social media at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.